Welcome to Daily Wisdom. We spend 10-15 minutes going over some actual practical wisdom for your businesses, lives, all different types of things. And what I care about is you implement stuff, that it actually changes you and everything, So I wrote this the other day, but information is not the goal. It's transformation, it's implementation, right? So today we're going to talk about the master key to persuasion. So if that sounds interesting to you, share this with someone, tag someone with this. Also, we put this all up on our YouTube, so feel free to subscribe to this and so much more as well. But I wonder if you've ever been in a situation where you want to help someone out really badly. Your family member, your friends, a client, a prospect, and you're talking, but they ain't listening. They're not getting it. It's just not clicking. Right? I wonder if you've had situations like that before. Put a 1 if you have before. And it's one of the most annoying things because you know how to help them with your business or your product. You know how to help them with your advice. You know that you know that you know that you know that you know. And yet they just don't listen. And it's one of the most frustrating things in the world because it's out of love. But when I realized that there's a key to persuasion, there's a key to really getting your message across, and then I implemented that into my life, it brought so much more joy, so much more impact, so much more business than I've ever experienced before. And this is coming from a guy that was super shy and everything. And here's the key. Ask more questions. What does that mean, James? Ask more questions. And this is what I realized. If you look at anybody that's masterfully influential, I used to think that the way to be influential is you got to be charismatic, the life of the party, loud, in people's faces, right? You had to have that courage and that type of personality to be influential. And while that's helpful, of course, to be honest, for most people, that's not how we naturally are. Some of you have developed it. Some of you are, maybe you're not there yet. Maybe some of you were born with it. But what I realize is it's not the personality. It is always the intention. And my mentors taught me this, that the person that is in control of a conversation is the one that is asking more questions. Case in point. Have you ever watched a good interview before? A good interview. Maybe it was on the news. Maybe it was a podcast. Maybe it was a YouTube thing, right? And you take a look at the interview, and you could be interviewing anyone, right? Maybe some of you, imagine your favorite celebrity. Maybe you love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Maybe you love Kevin Hart. Maybe it's a political figure. Maybe you love Obama. Maybe you love Trump. Maybe you love someone else. Right? Maybe it's a great business figure, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, whoever that it is, right? And if you actually look at it, what's interesting is when you're in an interview, while the other person that's being interviewed is someone that is super, super powerful, they're dropping all types of value and everything, they're doing a lot of talking. The reality is who's in the control of the conversation? Is it the interviewer, the interviewee, the one that's being interviewed, or is it the one that's doing the interview? If you really think about it, it's the one that's doing the interview, right? The one that's asking the questions, because that person is directing the conversation. And the irony is this: if you want to have influence, you could say that that person that's interviewing, that person has the most influence. So when you realize that it's not about talking the most, it's not about being the most impressive, it's not necessarily about being the most charismatic that gets you influence, that makes you persuasive, but it's about being the person that can be very wise with the questions that you ask. You're going to get exactly what it is that you want. So I was having a conversation yesterday, and we're in the health and wellness business. We're launching this cool transformation challenge thing. There's a bunch of cool cash prizes. People are getting excited. And I'm talking to one of the teammates about how to convey the value of a product and a challenge to one of their potential clients. And I'm hearing this conversation, and this is kind of how it goes. James, I'm laying it on thick. I'm laying my heart on the line. I'm telling them exactly why they need to do this. I'm giving them this and this and this and this and this benefit. And James, they are still not saying yes. And I said, huh, that's interesting. And I asked them, so what question did you ask them by the end of this conversation? They said, what do you mean by that? I said, I didn't ask any question. I'm just telling them they should do this. Why aren't they doing it? And I said, well, the person that's in charge of this prospect situation is the person that asked the question. And they're like, huh, that's interesting. Why not try it this way? So let's use another example that's specific to this one. Why don't you ask them, what's your goal? Your health goal? They'll tell you. You know, one thing that's a reality of life is we all like to talk about ourselves, don't we? Exactly. Be interested, not interesting. We all love to talk about ourselves. I do. If you ask me a question, why? We want to be people of value. We want to be someone of significance. We want to be someone of importance, right? We want somebody to be deeply interested in us. And it's really rare. If you can be the person, like what Angie said, that can be interested in someone else, not just interesting, and your focus is, I want to get to know this person. I want to understand them. I want to be able to learn from them. I want to be able to ask them questions. They will tell you everything they need. So instead of the first situation of trying to tell them you need this and this and this and this and this and this, why not do it this way? Hey, what's your health goal? Huh, I want to lose 20 pounds. Hey, how long have you wanted that for? Over a year. Huh, okay. Do you seriously want that to happen? I do. What's been your biggest barrier? Well, I'm so busy. Okay, well, if there's a way to be able to help you lose 20 pounds in a very simple way without even being busy, would you be interested in that? What do you think they're going to say? That's actually exactly what I want. You're a mind reader. Oh my gosh. But you're not a mind reader. You're just being intentional. You're listening to their concerns. And when I started to understand this principle, I love it being an introvert. Some of you I know are extroverts. You know, I see some of you on this line. You're definitely an extrovert, which is great, you know. So I started to realize I just had to get good at asking questions and listening. When you start asking more questions and you're interested in other people and you start to listen, you start to find out ways to be able to help them. Maybe it's you being a parent asking your children to do something, right? And I don't know about you, but I was a rebellious child many times. If the parent just asks the child more questions and listens, perhaps it can be more influential. Maybe it's you in your relationship and there's someone that's very stubborn. I'm super stubborn, right? If we just learn to ask some more questions that are open-ended and learn from that, then we can actually address the needs, right? If you're in business and you're prospecting somebody, if you just learn to ask more questions and then hear the needs and then solve the problem, you become the most persuasive person in the world, because what you're doing is you're actually solving the problems that they themselves state. So this truth is simple, but it's powerful. And what I want us to reflect on today is this. In your conversations, just think to yourself a little ratio. This is what I do. When I'm in a conversation, I think there's typically like an 80-20 rule I go by. Okay, I wonder if this will help. Someone's doing 80% of the talking, someone's doing 20% of the talking. Ask, am I doing the 80% or am I doing the 20%? And here's the challenge. Instead of being the 80%, let me be the 20%. And let me spend my 20% just asking good questions, just being really good at listening, being somebody that's able to affirm what's going on. And if you just start to make that little bit of a switch there, you're going to find people love you. You're going to gain influence. You're going to be extra persuasive. And you're going to be able to really, really be able to help people. So simple, simple truth today. So I wonder if this is helpful. If you can, if you feel that this is something that you can tune up yourself, and I definitely can as well too, put a 2 in the chat. I can be a better listener. I can ask more questions, right? Not statements, questions. So ask, listen, ask again, listen until you find out what's going on. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. Appreciate you guys for being on. And shout out is we also have a Zoom room as well. If you're into this type of stuff, more than welcome to join. But I see Angie and my wife and Christina, Net, Julie, Marla, Pam. Thanks for joining us on this morning. It's always fun seeing our live peeps as well too. And you're more than welcome to join us. If you're seeing this in our friends page, feel free to join us as well too. But we also put this on our YouTube and everything. But other than that, have an awesome weekend. We'll see you guys next Monday on this.